Okay, so thanks everyone for joining the Hospitable Town Hall. Before we kick things off, just a quick reminder that our town halls are recorded and will be available for playback on our YouTube channel. You can also listen to the replays, here in the Clubhouse app. We're going to get started with some company and product updates, let you know what's going on within the business. For our regular listeners, you might notice that we have fewer folks providing updates from our side today. That's because we believe these town halls should be an opportunity for our customers to get information that they want. So we're leaving room for more questions from the audience going forwards. So when the time comes for questions from the audience, please raise your hand through the app and we'll invite folks on stage to ask their questions. The raise hand button is at the bottom right of the app screen. Once we've invited you on stage, you'll need to unmute yourself also with a button at the bottom right too. So please remember to mute yourself when you are on stage and you're not speaking as a courtesy to other speakers. And if you aren't comfortable on stage asking your question and being recorded, feel free to ask us a question in the chat. Ray is there keeping an eye on things. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Pierre to provide some company updates.
Ray is here on stage. There's also Jen and a few other people from support who are also on the chat. And thank you very much for doing so. So yeah, shorter updates, more QA time on your side. For me, I'm starting with the usual company updates. Those are probably not the most interesting for everyone. I completely get it. But some in the audience are also investors into the company, and that's still the main channel that I have to basically communicate some information with them. So for Hospitable, January is always a month of expansion, and that's basically based on the number of check-ins that are occurring around New Year's Eve and Christmas, which basically mean more listings that are more occupied, and therefore that's good for everyone. That's basically is always a very good month for us. We've grown our revenue 5.5% month to date, which is rather good considering that, for example, in the past few months, our growth rate was probably in the vicinity of 4.5%. And to reach $420,000, which is nice. And that also means that we as a business have been passing $5 million annual run rate as of this Monday, as we passed also a 9,436 customer. And we are basically in cadence because we basically took us 6 months to go from 3 million to 3 to 4 million. It took us again 6 months to go from 4 to 5 million. What's different is that obviously we're January, we're leading, we're going towards a season in the northern hemisphere at least. And so that should mean more customers and more opportunity for our business to expand. Especially, did I drop direct yet? No, but there is some things that we're expecting also around direct. Now, since I'm basically concentrating all company updates, Miles also asked me to give you a bit of a nudge in that our next Hospitable Masterclass will be with NoiseAware, a company that also will receive a lot of feature and integration requests with. We'll be receiving the Senior Director of Customer Experience, Patrick Arata, and Miles, our very own Head of Marketing, for a Masterclass where we will talk about avoiding parties at your property. And if you'd like to learn more about protecting your property and get your question on the subject answered, you can join tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time, that's 2 p.m. Eastern, and Miles can now drop the registration link in the chat if you have not yet already registered and seen that from the newsletters. And by the way, we're welcome to hear some feedback about basically how we can make sure that we're informing you about these events if you are interested in them. So that's it really for the company updates. I love this much lighter format. What you want to hear is more of the product updates, and what you want to hear is Andrew, and more important, when direct.
No pressure, huh?
No pressure. Never.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I will keep it short and sweet as well. We've got a lot of things kind of building for release. But what actually got released this week, as of today actually, our Beyond integration is live for beta users. Beyond is a dynamic pricing company. So similar to Price Labs, it'll be now our second dynamic pricing integration. So if you are a Beyond customer and you're trying to use them to maximize your revenue, we now have instructions in the Hospitable app, or you can get instructions from the Beyond backend as well. And once we get some good test data out of there, we'll move that out of beta and make it available for all of our users. What else got released? Again, probably not the right audience for this. This is more for new customers, but it is in line with our general goal of making our product easier to use, simplifying everything. And that's, we released a feature flagged item. So we're still kind of testing this, but we thought it'd be better if you didn't have to manually merge listings. We're going to try and detect which listings belong in a similar property. So if you already have maybe your booking.com listings imported and then you move your Airbnb listings in as well, we're going to run kind of an algorithm to let us know that's okay based on the location, based on the different settings. We think this is a good candidate and it should be merged. So that is getting rolled out as of today. What else happened? Inbox Live. So several town halls ago, we told you that we update Inbox Live now in real time. That was partially true. It was in real time whenever a guest sent a new message, but we weren't thinking of some of our bigger property managers who might have multiple agents in this chat at the same time. We were not updating when a host or a co-host would send a new message, and so that caused some collision issues, as we say in the customer service industry. So that has been fixed. We now update that inbox with any message sent to the inbox. Otherwise, we have a lot of stuff on deck that we're working on now. We have decided to get back to metrics. This has been a long, delayed kind of project that we've successfully avoided for a long time. We want to do better with that. So the important data for you, whether that's your average daily rate, your revenue per available night, your bookings per channel, your revenue per channel. We are digging back into that. We do want to give better visibility, some nice graphs, some nice charts. We're looking at kind of cleaning up our exports at the same time, and in general going to have probably a couple of different releases going to the metrics area, trying to help you guys out better understand your business without having to dig into the exports so much. On the direct side, which was flagged, we are still blocked by some of the third parties. Basically, we need to have our lawyers give us our terms of service. We need to give those to our payment service provider, and then we can go live. We have been promised that will be happening shortly. Internally, we're targeting February 8th to go live as a private pilot. So we will be reaching out to some people. We will probably release another Typeform survey that you can apply if you want to be part of that early access bunch and start helping us test and get things in shape. But we do want to do a quick turnaround from private pilot to beta soon after that. So keep watching the space. I know it's frustrating. We're frustrated too. At the moment, it is out of our control, but we're getting there. So February 8th is the date that we're picking. Otherwise, we are, again, for new users, we're doing a pretty fun update to give better exposure and better visibility and better education to messaging rules. In the sign up flow now, we're going to be basically onboarding users to figure out how much time they're saving with messaging rules and which messaging rules will turn on for you, just to give better transparency in how our product works when you start using Hospitable as a new customer. And that takes me to the end of the notes I had. So I think we're all ready to Q&A, which is probably a record timing for a Hospitable town hall.
Which means more questions for users. Yes, and Peter is asking a question already in the chat. Are there any plans to add an integration with Wheelhouse? Andrew, I think you got a chat with them. That was just me, but I'm sure you can answer on the question already.
Wheelhouse is not one of the 17 companies I've talked to this week about integrations.
Yeah, that's kind of your life right now.
Yeah. Head of partnerships now? Is that the new role?
Well, so we have a Slack channel with Wheelhouse. They said basically on a recurring basis that they basically want to integrate with us. That's the same conversation we've been having with them for years. Of course, everything is ready for them to do so. It seems that basically Wheelhouse has a different path in terms of integration with Airbnb, but they should really be able, they can always integrate with us whenever they decide to prioritize resources on their side to integrate with Hospitable. So plans, we're welcoming them. I think, Andrew happened to have managed the integration and development with Beyond. That was, don't want to be too forthcoming, but I think that was quite light since everything is already documented and used. So ready for any kind of integration with dynamic pricing. That's one of the cases very well supported by our API. Okay, Miles, are you emceeing this little session?
I'm indeed. So I think next up we have Lauren that would like to come on stage. Just invite you on stage now, Lauren. You'll have to use the unmute button at the bottom right to be able to speak.
Good morning.
Hello, Lauren. How are you doing?
Or afternoon, depending on where you are. Hi. Yeah, thanks for bringing me on stage. So I had a couple questions. The first one is about customer service and what we can expect from you guys going forward. So I've been a user since the Smart B&B days. I think I joined in 2018 or so, and in the past few years, the response time has gone down dramatically in terms of how long it takes when I have a question to hear back from someone over the chat. And you guys have been expanding, it seems like, and you have investors now, and you're doing all of these great things, but on the user experience side, it was better several years ago for me in terms of just being able to get real-time help. And then even with the calls, sometimes it does get very tedious when you are trying to do something and it's not working, and you're on multiple different booking platforms, and you have all your unique setup, and some things just there are a lot of peculiarities to various functions and features in Hospitable that are not always intuitive, and they're not always clearly explained where we would know it as far as how certain settings function. So sometimes it can get cumbersome to do the chat, but when you set up a meeting, sometimes, like right now, the first meeting isn't until February. So if I want to speak with someone live about an issue I'm having now and be able to discuss it and just have quicker clarity, I'm waiting until February. So I just wanted to know, that's my first question, is what we can expect for, significant improvements to this, and maybe even possibly a day where we could call in and get real-time support.
Yeah, so I'm having the hot potato there to answer to. You're right in that as we are growing, the volume of questions that we receive from customers is growing, and it cannot be growing. Our team cannot grow as fast, especially if you want to make sure that they are going to be competent and answer questions regarding the product that I believe they do really well as soon as they have the appropriate information to be able to investigate. That is something that is very important, and I think is basically a constant across the industry, is that we rely a lot on information from our customers to be able to basically understand the nature of the problem. I personally have office hours, and I have some already scheduled tomorrow with customers, and we basically review the situation whenever they escalate a problem directly to the CEO. And and to be fair, I can understand that. There's a lot of issues about basically being able to narrow down the problem that's happening, especially because there are some areas of the product that we don't have ultimate control over. So our objective, the strategy that we are following right now on support is really not necessarily to reply fast on first tickets, but rather to close those tickets within a day. Once we are given the appropriate information, and make sure that we are not having back and forth with the customers, so that whenever we have someone taking over a particular conversation, they are going to give an appropriate answer that's going to be able to unblock you within a day. The support calls that you're mentioning are always a time that's very heavily, I want to say, kind of appreciated, first of all, by the support team, because it's a lot better to put a human face behind customers, and it's really helping troubleshoot some issues. It cannot solve all problems because some require quite a bit of time to investigate, and it's one of the things that we were investigating in relation with your request to have phone support. It cannot be a tool where we keep you on stage, we keep you on a call for an extended period of time until we have the answer, because there is a lot of moving parts into the product, and especially regarding third-party integration that we need to check and validate with those third parties. And there is a balancing exercise. We have a team of 12 people on support that basically are distributed all over the planet, from Australia to Colorado. And they all appreciate, I believe, the fact that we are dedicating that time to one individual customers, but we also know that that time can also help unblock a larger amount of customers if we are basically back on handling live chat. It's a problem that I really would like to solve. I think there is basically a lot of things that are moving. It would be a lot simpler to provide a very fast response time on a much simpler product. Unfortunately, that's not the case. That's why we're delivering a lot of value also as well. But yeah, it's something that we keep thinking internally every week on our support meetings to basically understand how we can basically go to a response time that is 2 minutes on live chat. That's our dream. But most of the time, it's really relying on priorities around the product. So right now, the product management team, when it's not working on direct, is really focusing on what would help unblock the support team first and foremost. That is really, for example, on issues that have been escalated, like, for example, issues are integrating with Verbo. That is also prioritizing and defining really well the bugs that are affecting our customers in relation with engineering. So that is the team sport. It's not all for the support to be blamed. We are really focused right now, and I think everyone needs to understand what focus means. When we say we are prioritizing the release of direct, we really mean that. And that means we have fewer resources at this point in time on engineering to look into the rest of the product. That doesn't mean that we don't have any. It means that we have to be very strategic about the issues that we're solving. So as a result, for example, of the office hours that we've been having on last Thursday, put the engineering team on a case and got them finally, so Sam and Costin in particular, to be investigating on those issues and being able to try something different. But again, the problem here, for example, is really about troubleshooting over something that we don't have fully control over, and not having necessarily the response on the end, or really whether there was a change or not. So there's a lot of trial and error. So yeah, that's basically what I can tell you, Lauren. It's something that we keep working on. We will need to have 80 people to probably have a 2 minutes response time on the support team. Unfortunately, at that point in time, you will have another part of the problem is really how do you maintain the quality and the training on the support team. Some people on the chat are basically also thanking the support team for the quality of their responses, and that's because they're heavily knowledgeable, because they have a lot of experience over their individual problems, the individual issues that they have responded, they have investigating for you. So it is something that we're looking forward to recruiting, especially in relation with direct.
Okay. Yeah. So wonderful. Thank you for just giving me some insight into kind of what's going on, to what we're experiencing now. And I also do want to say, and I remiss for not saying this at the beginning that, your tool is, like, I love your tool, and it's a blessing. Your tool certainly allows me to do what I'm doing at a scale that's also affordable, and there is a lot of functionality and value that you guys bring. So I just want to make sure I'm letting you guys know that as well. There is one thing, I guess. It sounds like the answer to what we can expect is we're not really sure when things might get better. But also, I do want to just
I
bring
think,
to your
Lauren,
attention that.
I
Oh, go ahead.
no, if I may, I've answered. The objective really of our support team is that we want to give you an insightful answer within a day, provided that we have everything required in terms of reference, in terms of reservation, in terms of properties, in terms of definition of the problem, so that we can investigate it straight away. So there will always be an advantage for customers that are taking that little bit of time, which we know is precious on your end, to grab everything that's required so that we can unblock you. We need those examples, and that basically unblocks our team to solve any issue that you're having within a day across the clock with
when can we
12
expect that?
people working on support team. Lauren, yes?
When do you think we'll be able to expect that?
That's the objective that we're having right now, and that's what we're reporting on every week, Lauren.
Well, that's just so you know, my experience is it can take up to 2 weeks to get an issue resolved back and forth through chatting. So,
and I would like to, so Lauren, you're dropping this number completely in the wild, and I would like to understand exactly on the support team, what did they have to work with to be able to investigate? Because the support team is there to investigate problems when they know they can kind of probe and check a few directions for the problem that you're having. I think it's very easy to be frustrated and to basically have a bit of a negative exchange, but that doesn't necessarily help us get to a point of resolution. So that is really the promise that I'm making, is that once we are able to get all the information from you about the specific nature of the problem, that is a listing, that is a reservation, that is a case conversation, that is, for example, the name of a rule that would not have been triggered, then we're able to investigate. Unfortunately, a lot of times we need to get back to the customer because something is not working, is not sufficient for us to know what is that something that's not working and what were your expectations of this thing not working happening on your side. So that is basically what we're working towards at this point in time, is to get a 1-day response time as soon as we have all the elements that we can from the customer to be able to resolve that issue. And to be clear, we still have a very high NPS, which is above 65, and we still basically have a lot of great feedback, of positive feedback from our customers. Every time that basically we're having a conversation that's being closed with you, we're asking you for the feedback. And that feedback is reported transparently across the entire company. So that is a place where you can really communicate, and we can have the support team investigate on what went wrong in every single of those conversations. So that's my promise line.
Okay. Let's leave some time for some other folks to ask some questions too. Lauren, if you want to shoot our support team another email, I'm sure that we can follow up on this directly and circle back to your specific problem. So I'm just going to move you back to the audience now and give someone else a chance to ask a question. So I believe next up on our queue is Alan. I'm just inviting you to speak now, and please unmute yourself in order to ask your question.
Hey, Alan, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing good.
Okay, so finally I got a chance to listen. I get the messages for the town hall, and my kids are sleeping early today in Israel, so I'm happy with that. I'm just sitting outside with good weather and enjoying. I wanted to say I talked today with Lisa, and she answered this question, but I want to ask it one more time just to kind of maybe put it in the air. I'm pretty much growing my business here, and I have 12 listings now, but it's growing now pretty. I did some marketing and it's growing, and I wanted to ask, what should I expect I only manage the digital side, like I don't clean the houses or don't take care of that. I only manage the listings on Airbnb and the pricing and selling the nights, and then it goes to the main host or somebody that he hires. I just wanted to kind of try to also get a glimpse to the future. How long can I stay with Hospitable with it working properly and giving me the value that I'm looking for? Like, I don't know, 20 listings, 30 more. It's inevitable. I try to understand that. And another question, you talk about investing. So if there's an option for customers to invest, just let us know.
No, and that's good. That's one point I didn't answer from Lauren just before, mentioning that investors may be bad, and I think there was an innuendo there. It's me saying, not Lauren, but that's often something that we see. We have 46 customers. 46 investors. They're all customers. So, and they don't have anything to drop to pass the line or anything. They're customers just like everyone else's,
Cool.
and they need to have the same thing. So that's really the way we did it. And if you allow me to just plug it, you can go to invest.hospitable.com, and that's basically we have that dashboard that allows you to invest into the company without even getting my approval. And everyone, since you are based in Israel, provided you're not a US person, you can actually invest like that. There are some restrictions for people who are in the US, because then you need to have accreditation. Now, you're asking me, Alan, a question that's very ominous, is basically until which point? Alan, right. You can cancel. So let me reset the basics here. You can cancel at any point in time. There is no notice. There is no contract. And I'm very happy with this kind of method of functioning. We don't want to retain customers that will be unhappy against their will. Okay, this is a product, a SaaS in a competitive environment. There are plenty of alternatives. So we are not exactly in the hostage business, if I may say. The second part of it is that basically there is this question that customers may not be able to grow with Hospitable as the number of listings is growing. And that's also really not something that we believe is true, but they may not use it in the same way. You see, it's totally okay that at one point there are some needs on the product that we are not able to fit right now that are very expensive on your side. And you heard a little bit earlier about metrics. I think really the part on the revenue management part of a product is really something that is addressed for more sophisticated users that are really deep on the path of professionalization. And that's not necessarily the persona that we're going after in the first stage. We are really good on the starting hosts that are really on the way to professionalize and getting their problems solved, in particular with something that should provide a benefit in a very clear fashion. There are plenty of other products that can work with Hospitable as you are going to be growing and you need those additional tools and those additional features. You may be unhappy with using them. And that's basically a bit of a trade-off, but that's not one I can do for you, and that's one that you have to do for your own business. So it really depends on to what you're expecting. We are very clear on the fact that we want to work with property owners, with real estate investors that are starting and professionalizing their short-term rental operations and are looking to self-manage. So that means really clearly giving them as much of a benefit so that they decided to have that short-term rental business, that is little operation on the side. They accepted to basically work a little bit more than if they were doing a long-term rental. They were ready to do a little bit of work, but now they need to basically get a bit more of that time back. That's literally the mission of our company, to give them that time back. Some property managers want to have that time back, and why wouldn't they? But they are expecting, a lot more features from us that are not aligned with basically 90% of our customer base. And that's really owner's dashboard, that's owner statements, that's trust accounting. And those are some very sophisticated features that very few products actually in the space offer really well. But you can still use those products. We have a few customers that are using those products with Hospitable. So you can use a very enterprise PMS with Hospitable. We still be offering them an inbox we'll still be offering you an inbox, which is not a feature that you can find in all of them. You will be having a superior guest messaging automation. That's sometimes still for some products based on emails, if it exists at all. And it allows you to actually have more freedom about choosing that property management software that you're having, without basically leaving Hospitable that contains all your, I want to say your guest experience intelligence, all the message automation that you're currently having. They don't need to be disrupted. You can still use Hospitable while basically using another product. That would be my go-to answer. Next, depending on whether you're patient and what your needs are, we will have a solution for all of those items, but we will likely be flipping them on their heads. Because we want to be aligned on property owners and real estate investors, it turns out that if you are a property manager, you're very interested in them, Alan. Am I right? You're very interested in growing your business.
Yes.
And so that's what I believe can be the key differentiator. It's not necessarily something that's apparent right now, but that's really something I'm excited about for the future. And that's maybe the next 1 or 2 years. For now, the priority is direct, and I cannot really talk about anything else. But property owners and real estate investors want to self-manage, but they don't necessarily want to manage everything on their own. There can be a bit more of an a la carte setup where people actually like you, Alan, who are doing more like virtual co-hosting services, can be used to manage the communication and do a few property management tasks without necessarily having the boots on the ground. And that's something that I believe our customers, those property owners, those real estate investors would like to be able to recruit directly within Hospitable, and for us to give you, let's call it deal flow. Let's expose you to customers that basically may be a fit for you at a price point that makes sense and want to love your services.
Wow.
That's basically the idea that I've been sharing for quite some time about a marketplace for service providers. That
sounds,
it's going to take some time.
It sounds good, and I'm not living anywhere.
No,
so
I don't recommend you leaving because you'll be losing on something. But you don't have to leave to basically fix the problems that your business is facing today.
Right.
Pierre.
Okay. And that makes me happy. Thank you very much.
Andrew wanted to talk
just
something.
As a parting gesture for Alon, I think maybe he would feel better too if he knew that he wasn't alone, and we do have customers with more than 12 properties, some with significantly more than 12 properties.
I know
that are driving value from us. So there's plenty of room to grow, is the message.
Sounds perfect.
Great. Thank you very much for your question, Alan. I'm just going to move you back to the audience now, and I'm going to ask Desmond to come up on stage. Desmond, please remember to unmute yourself with the mic button at the bottom right. Oh, scratch that. Looks like Desmond's a little busy right now.
Meanwhile, our largest customer has 1,456 listings. Based in France. Just a random fact like that.
Okay, we're going to try with Matthew on stage now, if he can join us.
Matthew, please join us.
Hello?
Hello, Matthew. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing great.
Good.
How about you?
Good. I was wondering, first question is, I know we've spoken about in direct, you've got two models, one where you're taking payment and kind of doing everything end to end, and the other one is where sort of we use our own payment processor, which I've been beta testing. And I'm wondering if you're planning to support both models fully, or if your focus is maybe on the one where you kind of provide the full solution. Because I noticed I turned off my Stripe integration, and then I wasn't actually the option to turn it back on just looks like it disappeared from my dashboard. I just noticed that this morning.
Well, the Stripe integration is still in a private pilot. We've kept it there until we release the other version of Direct. So internally, we refer to them as basic and premium, but that's not actually true in some senses, because that basic might actually be a better fit for you depending on what your setup is. So you could continue using Stripe. I think if you get in touch with support, we can get it turned back on for you, because it is kind of internally feature flagged. So That might be what happened. But yes, that does get supported going forward. That might be the best fit for you. But premium is also an option. But there are two different models for how you want to run your business. So we are going to keep them both fully supported going forward.
Okay, that's great to know. And sort of a related question, the model I'm trying to do is to have a sort of custom built site, for my business, and with property pages, and then use your widget. Do you have any thoughts, or maybe I'm sure you've thought of it, but prioritization and likelihood of what I would really love is a multi-property sort of calendar search widget where it's sort of looking for all the properties in a town and reflecting the availability properly.
Absolutely. Yes. This is one of the top things. It's not a blocker for us going live right now with direct premium. So unfortunately it's not prioritized ahead of that. But it's got a big star on it on my to-do list. That and Instant Book are two of the next kind of feature releases after we get direct premium launched.
Okay.
So yes, you will have multi-property search coming. Absolutely agree with you.
So that Matthew, I want to understand exactly what you're expecting. So it's really having a widget, so in the same format that's existing right now, which is really based on one property, and you check the calendar, and you want the user to be able to search dates that are going to be available in a given city, select the listing, and then basically being able to book from there. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I want a widget like you have now, where the user can select some dates, but it's looking for all the properties in scoped to, a city, or even a selection of cities that might be adjacent to each other. But users would, travelers would think about them as complete substitutes for one another, and then once they pick the dates, they could hop over to your to the booking flow that's all hosted.
You want to have obviously your own site that's going to be different, where you manage the entire experience. I just want to know, what does your website do once everything, the logic of the listings and the selection of the properties happening through the widget?
Yeah, a great question. So what I need, so I'm trying to graduate from. Yeah, I've got 3 properties that I own, and to manage properties for others. So I'm working on putting up a website. I'm using Squarespace right now, which is, has great templates, but it's sort of fights you. And I want to have some pages discussing why the towns are great places to visit. I want a page for prospective property owners of why they should work with us. Just sort of a full company. What you'd expect from a full company website. And so I just need to build out more than kind of what is in your template right now.
Yeah. Have you checked the 10 new templates that we released for our direct booking websites?
I just was playing with them this morning. My first piece of feedback is the booking widget is below the fold, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah. That's something that Miles and Ben have been working together so that there is an appropriate CTA, because we've heard that multiple times. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I'll give you one piece of feedback quick on sort of the existing flow. Is one thing I've seen a lot, like more than one of my visitors saying is, I'll direct them to the site, and basically for whatever reason they'll select some dates that aren't available, or maybe even they can't pick the dates in the calendar widget. And I think there could be a lot of focus on details of, if they pick some dates, show them alternative that don't have anything, show them alternatives that are available. You're like, hey, if you pick these dates instead, you would have something, because often for visitors, they have some flexibility, and then they just think that maybe this isn't something that's available at all. And I very much worry about
I know what you're referring to, because that is an item that we have as well. Like, we're only showing basically check-in availability on the initial view, and then we show you check-out availability, and it's hard to know what is available for either. So yeah, that's something we actually have an item to update as well, so you can see all availability from the first view and know kind of what your options are.
Absolutely. Yep. And my other request would be just to allow a custom header on the booking thing, so I could just have a header that matched the header on my custom site for a constant experience.
Okay.
Yeah. Just dump in a div HTML or something, and it could be just static stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be probably a little bit slower for us once we roll out multi-property search for us to do it through an API that you would need to do it within your own site, which is what Pierre is alluding to, that, you'd have to actually handle the search results that come back from that as well. But yeah, we do plan to do it with our own templates. Through the API is not something that we've really discussed yet. I would like to have that eventually, but not sure where that comes on the priorities.
Yeah, well, I mean, and don't know if I'm taking up too much time, but I mean, my ideal thing would actually be, doing it through the API, I could, I could personally do that, but I think even just at that stage, redirecting the user over to something that's on, your hosted site would be fine, and you take the experience from there. But obviously an API experience would be more work to integrate, but it would allow for a more customized experience.
A true custom experience. But yeah, it means quite a bit of a cost and time for development.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that. Brian internally is saying the same, that basically he's been pushing for a multi-property widget. I just don't exactly know what that would look like, considering that it needs a bit of space, I think, to do it well. So really having a search fields. Once you start doing search, there's going to be more features for amenity maybe at one point, and just then being able to offer the space on your screen to be able to select which listing you want to look at, and displaying the price, because all of a sudden listings are in competition with one another. So it seems like for me really that it's a full site experience, and it's impossible to differentiate between that booking widget multi-property if we want to do the job of selling which property should be booked. That makes it hard to differentiate from what the booking website should be like. That's why the widgets so far have been really like property by property. You create your page on your direct booking website. You can knock yourself off. You can have all the pictures, all the experience that you really like, and you just drop in this little widget that basically will get the visitors to a payment to becoming a guest. So a bit. That's where basically I'm managing your expectations a little bit, unfortunately, Matthew.
Sure.
That has to be my job. I'm the guy saying no all the time.
Yeah, understood. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Matthew, for your question.
Great. Thank you very much, Matthew. I was going to ping you back into the audience now. Desmond is already on stage. I'm hoping he's available to speak.
I am. Hey there.
Hello,
Desmond here. Hey. So I just wanted to start by saying this product is a beast. I've been a member for about a month or so now, and it's greatly reduced the amount of daily time that I have to spend, managing my two properties. I just wanted to follow up on an issue that I've reported to support a few times, specifically for booking.com reservations, where I've noticed, especially on the first message that's sent out automatically, there's weird Hospitable metadata that's included in that message. So it'll say maybe calendar icon or Hospitable icon. And that really brings me to a broader question of, for bugs that are reported by users, and particularly those that, might not have been reported by a large number of users, which is what I've been told, and therefore it's not necessarily the highest priority for the engineering team. I'm just wanting to ask, what sort of level of support can we expect for, bugs reported like that and through the support channel, and how can we have maybe a better sense of the timeline in which these issues will be fixed? I've been told like, hey, we know about this, and we've got it on our backlog, but is there maybe a better way or something coming up in the future where that communication of, oh, hey, like, this will be within 3 sprints, we'll get this fixed? Is there any sort of plan for that, or I'm just looking to see kind of what you guys' thoughts are on that?
Hello, Desmond. Pleasure to have you back. We're on an office hour, right?
Yes, we were, and you were super
Week.
helpful. Thanks for addressing my concern.
So directly a problem.
Yeah, you fixed it.
Yeah. So that's one element to that as an answer. So I earlier we had a question from Lauren, which was basically the same in nature. I'm basically going to be answering the same one. is that basically right now we're a bit under pressure from on the support side. So basically we're working towards basically getting all the questions that we're answering basically within a day. Now on the engineering and product side, you clearly heard that on multiple channels now, the priority really is to develop on direct. We do have some capacity to investigate bugs and on core. So the product that you know. So we're able to prioritize those, but we are basically tied to working really specifically for the issues that are escalated that could basically unblock the support team in the greatest number. The issue that you reported here is not something that's new. It's something that I believe we've received some feedback on, and I think if I can be transparent, that's been for quite some time in the scale of years for Booking.com. That's not something that basically I think the point was really that we need to communicate where users can reply and basically manage expectations, because they are going to be seeing messages that are going to be coming from a different domain than what they're expecting. And we want to basically make sure that they're not going to be blocking it as spam. That fundamentally is one of the reasons why we are disclosing that there is something from Hospitable.com, for example, when we send emails on Booking.com. So I don't know the nature of the issue that you've escalated. I'm just basically sharing a bit of the context that I'm familiar with. And we've basically been working on improving the deliverability of those emails, which basically came with quite a few drawbacks like that. So
I gotcha.
Do you know any, so for example, please reply below this line or above this line, for example, those are things that are required for us to be able to pass those emails and be able to display them on your inbox. Is there, so you're saying characters basically being wrong? Is that
Yeah,
problem
so
of
it's
encoding?
more so that after the, message template that I've put in, which is sent correctly, after that message, there's a whole bunch of just kind of random nonsense that seems to be added from Hospitable. So for instance, it'll deliberately say like calendar icon and then show the dates, and it'll have like all of the reservation dates and the like length
Yes,
of the stay, which I don't want to be added
that's
to the message.
that's something that you see. That from the guest, basically, they would not be. I mean, our idea there is that from that footer of the emails, that they would not be able to put the conversation that they've been having in context.
And specifically, I'll say too, this I'm seeing this in the Pulse app, which is like the admin app that Booking, publishes for hosts. So I do think that it's something the guest can see as well, since it's in the Booking.com
no, you're right.
messages.
Something that the guest can see as well when they're checking in on Pulse.
Right.
If they're checking their email, then basically they see the email formatted the way it used to be, and that's, I believe, is the change of behavior over that time with Booking.
Okay, so maybe it's a Pulse specific issue, is what you're saying.
But I appreciate that we should be able to manage it as well.
Yeah, and I will say, it is just a little uncomforting that you say that this issue, may have been existing for years at this point, and also that the engineering team, while I understand that, a new feature is being rolled out, I'm guessing this isn't, the last feature that will be released, right? And after Direct, there's going to be some latest and greatest feature that, the team will be working on. So I'm just wondering, if that maybe alludes to the engineering team maybe needing an expansion of some sort, or, specifically engineers,
always.
Specifically engineers, dedicated to just fixing the bugs. But that's kind of tough to hear that there are bugs that, the team knows about and is willing to let go on for maybe years to come.
I would not necessarily say everything that you escalated is a bug. I think there are things that can be better, that can be improved, but that doesn't make necessarily that something unexpected in the way that you change there. We have a product team, for example, for just exactly 6 months right now, and that is basically working on basically improving the product and launching new ones as well. What I want to say is that there will always be a lack of engineers. There will always be a lack of support people. There will never be too many. There will never be a need of any CEO in a good company. The thing really is just basically prioritization and focus, and that's basically how can I say? yeah, we appreciate the frustration that is yours, and we are looking fondly at a time when we can go back onto those as well.
I gotcha.
Just like
That
you.
sounds good.
Just like
Thanks
you,
for
Desmond.
answering. And yeah, I've set
Thank
up
you.
another support call with you next week. So maybe I'm just hoping you can wave the magic wand like you did last time and just fix this for me. We'll see.
Yeah, that's going to be obliterating my calendar, which means probably not a good idea for fixing the problems that are impacting thousands of customers. But Desmond, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you. I'm
Thank
looking
you.
forward to that moment.
All right. Bye now.
Thank you. Miles, to you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Desmond. So I'm going to ping you back into the audience, and we have Jason just joining us on stage now. Jason, don't forget to unmute yourself with the little mic button at the bottom right. Oh, looks like Jason can't join right now, unfortunately. Give that a second. Okay, there we go, Jason.
Oh my gosh, I'm always so slow figuring this out. Can you hear me?
We can indeed.
Hello, Jason. Pleasure to have you. How can we help you?
All right, so sorry guys. Question, and I joined on the tail end of this, mainly to ask this question. So I'm sorry if it has been covered at any length. But with all the AI talk and the Chat GPT kind of, just changing the landscape of a lot of text-based conversation. I wanted to see if you guys had any plans, if Hospitable, since I am a user, has any plans to incorporate that into some of the auto response features that are currently offered that seem to be a bit more keyword triggered, as opposed to something like ChatGPT, which seems to be a bit more complex and helpful.
Yeah.
That is.
Andrew, can you answer this question?
Absolutely. Yeah, Jason, it is totally on our radar. It actually, like the days that it came out public, we were all in Amsterdam and immediately started picking it up and playing with it during our retreat there, during our offsite, and brainstorming how that could fit into our product. And if you look at our very high level roadmap for this year, it is releasing and smashing it with Direct. It is number 2, integrations to save our host time, and number 3, AI NLP for saving time in the product. So it's absolutely something we are toying with. We're using ChatGPT in our workflow. Constantly surprised by it and figuring out how we can get that into inbox. It might just completely obliterate messaging rules eventually, but you're absolutely right. There's a huge opportunity there. So it's to come for us.
Okay, fantastic. That's great to hear. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jason. For that question, I can basically reinforce that it was a subject that the team has been talking about and thinking about. And so we hope to be able to bring it in the first half of this year. Because that's going to be delivering a lot of value to our customers.
Yeah, it'd be great. And I didn't mean to just be short, but without taking up more time. But no, I guess some of my hopes for it would be that it can look at some of the details of the listing, answer questions that guests ask us all the time that we've already communicated to them through the listing details or the check-in instructions, possibly retrospectively looking at past conversations we've had to build a database of responses, things of that nature.
The thing is that we can talk about that. We've been talking about that internally. That's something that we're very excited to build for a specific type of questions, and especially building on your own experience. Okay,
thank you.
More technical talk on how to do this. Thank you very much, Jason. I think we don't have anyone else who's been raising their hands. So I'm going to call it and say that you will be the last one. So thank you very much, Jason, for ending on a question about AI. That's really the part that we want to been known as, and we want to keep innovating on to bring those technologies into the words of into the hands of every host, every short-term rental investor that is interested in self-managing their properties. Thank you very much for all your questions. I'm going to call it now. And yeah, you'll be able to see progress for in the next 2 weeks. So that basically makes it Wednesday, the 8th of February, which, no coincidence at all, is basically the date that Andrew has been communicating as a potential start of a private pilot if everything is going nice for direct. So we'd love to be able to update you then and there on the progress that we're making. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day and catch you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.